Welcome back to the channel. This is the winter solstice. This is one of the most powerful times of the year, and especially where we're at on this human journey and this collective story. It's a really big time. You might have noticed that the channel changed to the name Top Floor Souls. The reason it's called Top Floor Souls is because for many of us, we've spent a lifetime down in the basement, which is lower awareness, which is being in the orientation as a human being of the small self identity, identity as the body, identity as your past experiences, who you've been, identity coming from a place of self-preservation, protection, all of the beliefs, all of the things that you took in your childhood that formed your outer reality and the story of who you thought yourself to be and what you thought the world to be. And that is all changing very rapidly now. And a top floor soul is simply someone deciding to rise their perception, their awareness out of that basement and into the truth of who they are. Essentially taking the elevator up to the higher floors of consciousness, the higher floors of awareness that have always been there, and you just didn't realize it. Now, probably many of you have had lots of experiences or have been in the process of taking the elevator out of the basement to your higher floors and starting to explore that and starting to recalibrate to those higher states. And you're probably having experiences where you're doing a lot of oscillation up and down. You go up to the third, fourth, fifth floor, and it's like, oh my God, it's so nice. This feels totally aligned. This feels really peaceful. It feels really like who I actually am. And then you go, all right, well, this thing happened in the outer world, and now you're back down in the basement, or you go back down to what's comfortable and familiar. And this is something that I have been very familiar with for a long time, that oscillation, that recalibration. And so context really helps here. It's the game that you're playing with you because you're learning that you are the creator of your experience. And shifting into that is quite a big leap from being used to being in the basement. And that orientation of coming from that place of I'm not okay, survival, like I said, self-preservation. You think you're the voice in your head. You're listening to that. You're caught in that. And it's created a lot of unfavorable outcomes. So there's a lot of things right now that are being stripped away so that you can see and experience who it is that you really are beyond all of that. And you can get to a place of actually knowing yourself as the creator of your experience. And a big piece of that is you will have to take a pause and look around you and make the decision, okay, this is not it. This is not who I am. This is simply an echo of a perception of me being in the basement. All right, so it's a very exciting time because a lot of us are being lifted out of that and starting to harmonize and recalibrate so that you can stay on those top floors, right? And that will become your new baseline instead of the basement level being your baseline, okay? So that's why this channel is named that, and everything that I'm sharing is with the intention of helping you to rise out of the basement and to stay and start to anchor in those top floors. All right. So 2026, this is what came through earlier in a meditation and has been coming through. This is the year of participation. You being an active participant in your story. All right. No longer is your story being created by past experiences and basement level thinking. Okay. Now it gets to be, what is it that you choose? Right? Choice is starting to become more and more prevalent, more in your field of awareness. And when you have choice, you're not in reactivity anymore. You can actually respond as someone who is in the higher floor. Let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about so you can really feel me on this. A lot of us, these shadows come out, these different themes that have felt like major obstacles, that have felt maybe at times impossible to get beyond, or it's something that you keep seeing over and over again. And I can tell you that in my own journey, there's been two big themes. One, insecurity and a poor relationship with myself that stemmed from childhood and teenage years. And also, I'm very Irish on both sides of my family, so there's been a lot of poverty consciousness that has been a big theme that my soul is here to alchemize. And what is alchemy really? To me, that is being able to feel certain energies in your body that might feel dense and heavy, and they're tied to belief systems that are in error, right? So for me, I early on learned the depths of lack and scarcity and survivalism and self-preservation. And one of the big themes in this lifetime has been to transcend that. So when something happens in the outer reality that reinforces an old belief in lack or limitation and fear around that stuff, maybe specifically tied to money, you now in the moment have the choice to lift that part of you whenever that first got in. Maybe it was 7 years old. Maybe it got reinforced when you were 12 and then in your early adult life. When that shows up in your now space through some kind of trigger or some kind of thought that you have the choice to elevate that state, that perception to the higher floors. Because when you're in the basement and something happens where you get an unexpected bill, or the money doesn't come in that you thought was going to, or you lose your job or something like that, you become aware of your dependence on external things and the number in, let's say, in your bank account dictating how you feel and determining if you're okay or not. So in that moment, you now have the choice to elevate that perception into one of, oh, here I am in this moment and I am okay. And that was an old story, an old echo that I'm now becoming aware of, that I can bring into safety, that I can bring into the light and the truth, which is abundance is all around me, that you are an intricate part of reality itself, and reality itself is abundance because energy is infinite. The well of source consciousness, source energy, that infinite love is eternal and endless. And when you can attune to that, you rise up those old shadows into that place. Essentially, you're bringing it from third dimensional perception to fifth dimension, which is that space of infinite well-beingness. Does that make sense? Let's go to the insecurity example. An old part of me was terrified of rejection and lived life from a place of doing things that would keep me safe from having to deal with the feeling of rejection, which was really a belief that I could be rejected from someone or something outside of me. And how beautiful it is to start to come into that relationship with yourself where there's so much love that you realize that rejection was always a choice and a belief of you not being good enough and not worthy enough of someone or something. And that's been imprinted into your subconscious. So it has to keep playing out. It has to keep showing up in your movie in order for the higher potential to unfold, which is you being in that place of wholeness, being in that place of I love me, I am always worthy. I get to now gift myself that awareness, which feels really nice to the nervous system, which feels really nice to the ego that was running around scared and freaked out and avoiding and trying to stay comfortable and, in the familiar place that it's been for a long time. You get to now lift that up into the place of I'm okay. I am worthy. Life wants to shower me with blessings and opportunities and all the things that my heart truly desires. My soul truly desires. The desire is there itself because it's given to you by that which created you, that is seeking expression through you in that desire. And you can have your desire. I know for me, if it almost felt like this weird game of like, oh my God, I have all these desires, but it feels like they run from me. It feels like I can't have them. It feels like, they show up, but then it gets immediately weighed down by this sense of, yeah, but I'm not worthy of that. I can't have that. I can't have a lot of money. I can't have life just be this awesome thing every day. I can't, I don't believe in stability in that way. I don't believe in having beautiful relationships all around me and life being this thing that is coming from a place of ease and everything gets to come to me and just wonderful things happen all the time and synchronicities are like a normal part of my life. There's a part of me that's like just waiting for the rug to get pulled, okay? And that's the part that we get to lift out of the basement and start to calibrate into that higher floor of perception in how the soul sees things, not the ego. Do you follow me here? So that's why this is the year of participation, because you've got to be an active participant in this co-creative process, okay? Which means you will have to face off with any part of you, and a lot of times unconsciously, that wants to stay a victim, that wants to stay in that place of separation because it's afraid to let go of the control of that, even though it sucks and it feels shitty. It's like that's what you've known, right? That's what's been normalized in your nervous system, and it expects that. It expects the rug to get pulled. It expects disappointment. It expects things to not be there. All right, so we've got to elevate this, and you've got to choose to get very conscious in this process of being really here in the now to notice these things coming up as the observer so that you can take it by the hand, which again, just to make this a nice visual, to make it very real for you, imagine just taking 5-year-old you, 7-year-old you, 10-year-old you that first got these beliefs locked in and they started to descend into that world of lack and limitation. Imagine you're going into the cave, holding their hand and bringing them into the light, like showing them this new reality, this truth that they were never aware of before, that they got so lost in that dark place. You get to go in there and bring all of those fragmented pieces of you, again, from early childhood, teenage years, you get to bring them to this place that feels really, really nice, really safe, really powerful and beautiful, right? And they get to start sharing that experience with you. And because we know time is simply a construct and everything's happening here right now that's ever happened, it's like you're going back in time and being like the angel whispering in your own ear, giving the reassurance, correcting the error that first got in there into the equation, and giving yourself that sense of wholeness. I always like to use the rejection piece, right? Like I remember when I was like 10 years old, having a crush on this girl for one of the first times, and then her saying, "Hey, I don't like you anymore," and dating one of my good friends. And at that point, it's like, wow, there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough for her. And then, of course, I have to attract relationships that keep reflecting that until I get to the point where that shadow of little me that got rejected, it's like, hey, I love you. You were always good enough. You were always worthy. And that wound was just simply an innocent childhood thing that happens. And you made it mean this. And then you stayed there. And the unconscious, the subconscious, the body got imprinted with that. And then it became the story of I'm never good enough. And so I either have to attract partners that feel safe, that won't trigger that, but that I don't feel totally aligned with, and I'm just there for safety and codependency, or I heal that wound so that I can attract relationships and partnerships that are in alignment with who I am and match that love that I have for myself and love me the way that I love me. Do you see this game that we're playing? You got to be an active participant. For me, in the visual that comes around this is like I'm in the classroom and I was always afraid to, at one point, I love to raise my hand and to dive in and to be part of the conversation and to be actively engaged. But then at some point, I raised my hand and the teacher was like, "No, that's not correct." Right? And then it was like, "Oh shit, I just looked stupid. I just got embarrassed in front of everyone that I'm wrong and I didn't do it right, and my idea or my answer got shot down by a teacher who was probably very deep in their own ego and didn't understand any of this stuff." And then again, that became a story. And it's like, well, I'm just not going to participate because when I do that, I could be embarrassed. I could be shamed, and I don't want to feel that. And this is what happens to us with life. We were that beautiful, innocent child with curiosity and play and wonder of like, oh, I'd like to go do this. Oh, I'd like to go create that. But then maybe your parents shot it down, or your coach or your teacher or your minister shot it down. And you decided, all right, that's not safe to do that. So I'm just going to blend in. I'm just going to kind of be in the background. I'm going to let other people raise their hand. And or I have to be absolutely sure that the answer is correct. And what I would experience a lot with that was other people would raise their hand and give the correct answer. And then because I hesitated and because I was afraid, that more shame. It's like, oh, this keeps happening. Where like I go to raise my hand and someone else gets called on because they had the certainty. They weren't afraid to get the wrong answer, right? They were participating. So hesitation's a big thing here too. This is not a time for hesitation because life doesn't favor hesitation. Hesitation creates more hesitation. It still keeps you in that field of like, I'm not really sure, like could go either way, instead of just diving in and learning as you go and like raising your hand and it's like, oh, that wasn't correct. All right, cool. I'll learn from that. And then I'll raise my hand again and I'll keep raising it. That engagement, that participation with life, the teacher of life, is what is going to be required. It's no longer analyzing up, because what happens when you get caught in analysis paralysis? You get left behind, right? Other things, life moves forward, and then you stay in the behind space. And you're going to notice the echo of that get louder and louder and louder, and it doesn't feel good for you, and you don't want to be in that space anymore. And really what that's doing is offering you a chance to start being an active, engaged participant here in the now, raising your hand, learning as you go, experimenting, creating, getting out your crayons and starting to draw, not thinking about drawing, not like, ooh, yeah, like before I paint, it's got to be perfect in my mind. It's like, no, that's not how it works, right? And this is what we have to learn as part of this process, to be on the top floor where you have the penthouse suite, the bigger picture. You see things as they are. You see things as truth. You see things from a place of wholeness, right? That's the direction we are going in. So my invitation for people watching this channel and this transmission from anywhere is to allow this to be a year that is just complete magic and wonder and curiosity, and back in that childlike place of, I'm going to create stuff. I'm going to create from my heart. I'm going to express from my soul and start to show all the parts of me that that's what is allowed and that's what's happening. And your nervous system will start to come for the ride. Those parts of you will start to get integrated and start to realize that they're safe because you are now the safety. You're not waiting on anything out there to give that to you or tell you that. It's you giving it to you as it has always been. And you're breaking the illusion of the basement floor paradigm of codependency, of I'm not okay, of safety and comfort coming from that place of familiarity. Like, it's a whole reorientation of the unknown, and realizing that the unknown, the void, is where all your power comes from. It's where all your desires exist. It's where all the things you've ever wanted are waiting for you to come into alignment with it and to stop staying in that familiar basement paradigm. All right, we get to shatter that now. All the astrological energies are here to support us in that. The ancestors within us are here to support us in that. And our soul is like, hey, it's time. Let's do this. It's way more fun. It's way more interesting. Life gets to become this improv scene where life lives through you, right? And you're not just sitting back and looking at everyone else do it. It's the analogy is so perfect. It's like, do you remember the feeling? I'll just share from my experience because I think it highlights this. I love to dance, right? I love to get the party started. I love to just dive in. And the younger version of me, like in middle school, I would watch people having fun in the dance floor. I would watch people that had the confidence and were not up in their head like I was. And I'd be sitting on the sideline watching them, just like dying to get out there, but not letting myself, and how shitty that felt. This is what we're seeing on a grand scale right now. So many people that have not allowed themselves to step onto the dance floor and just let their body just like start moving and just like be in that expressed place, and how fun that is, and how much of our true nature that is. Like, this is the time to let yourself on the dance floor in all the ways, so that you can start dancing with life and it can start dancing with you and bring you the things that you actually desire. Your desires are on the dance floor. You can't be the person that's like on the sideline. Well, must be nice to be those people. Like, if they didn't have this thing happen in their childhood, like they wouldn't be able to be dancing like that, like me. You get what I'm saying right now? I know you can feel this. Right? We all have this at different levels. And we've finally gotten to the point where we're transcending the primitive survival brain so that we can enjoy and get to experience authenticity, who you really are, expressed through your body. You'll get to experience what it's like in your body to feel at home, to feel worthy, to feel like you're in that beautiful dance with life of like waking up in the morning and it's like, how awesome is today going to be? Like, oh my goodness, how many beautiful opportunities are coming my way. I can't wait to see what life's got for me today, because now I'm in a place to receive it. Whereas before, my energy field was blocked off because I wasn't in alignment with those beautiful things, with those opportunities, because I was in an identity of I'm not good enough, I'm not okay, I'm not worthy. I'm afraid of being rejected. What happens if I go out there and try this thing and it doesn't work, right? And then that feeling sucks that it didn't work, rather than coming from the place of like, all right, I tried that, like maybe I learned from it, and then I take it into the lab and it's like, all right, how could I take a different approach with that? And then you go for it again and you keep going. You keep dancing. Right? And then you find that nice flow. You feel the harmony, you feel the balance as you start to work out all the imbalances and all the shadows that were like, see, look, that's why it's not safe, right? That's you dropping back down into the basement. Imagine you're up on the higher floors and something happens and you are just observing yourself drop down to the basement in that moment, but yet you're able to hold the field of love and truth and wisdom, notice it happening, and start to hold space for that. Start to breathe into it and be like, hey, you're allowed to be here, but guess what? Now there's something seeing you. The identity's not being just completely pulled down into that anymore. I'm seeing it happen. I can take a few breaths, allow it to be there, and start to love myself in that. And then you start to train yourself, like it starts to rise those old shadows up into the light that you're staying at. That's the game of alchemy. That's what 2026 is all about. The year of participation, the year of you becoming a top floor soul. I am so excited to be in this participation with you. There's so many things coming. There's a community forming around this top floor souls. There's events that we're going to have. There's going to be in-person experiences and retreats. This is the year to gift yourself this. All right? I love you all. You're me, I'm you, living a different journey, but we're coming into that place of oneness and recognition of I'm you. I know what that feels like. And I have just chosen to take the elevator and stay there, stay up on those higher floors, anchor to those higher floors. And I'm here to help you with that as well. Big love, everybody. As always, peace within is peace without.